The U.S. accounted for 37% of global arms sales during the 2016 to 2020 period and sold arms to 96 countries. Almost half of its sales went to the Middle East, the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute report said. U.S. exports increased 15% compared to the 2011 to 2015 period.
Here's a summary of the article.
The U.S. accounted for 37% of global arms sales during the 2016 to 2020 period and sold arms to 96 countries. International deliveries of arms were flat in the period 2016 to 2020, ending more than a decade of increases, SIPRI said. Middle Eastern countries accounted for the biggest increase in arms imports, up 25% in 2016 to 20 from 2011 to 15. Saudi Arabia, the world's biggest arms importer, increased its arms imports by 61% and Qatar by 361%. The United Arab Emirates recently signed an agreement with the United States to purchase 50 F-35 jets and up to 18 armed drones as part of a $23 billion package. Asia and Oceania were the largest importing regions for major arms, receiving 42% of global arms transfers in 2016 to 20. For many states in Asia and Oceania, a growing perception of China as a threat is the main driver for arms imports, said Seaman Weserman, a senior researcher at SIPRI. COVID impact too early to tell. The economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic could see some countries reassessing their arms imports in the coming years. However, at the same time, even at the height of the pandemic in 2020, several countries signed large contracts for major arms, said Weserman.
This post received a score of 4,900, with an upvote ratio of 96%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Shipping and selling freedom by the pallet.
U.S. politicians routinely accuse the Gulf dictatorship of supporting barbaric groups in that region and also accuse them of arming them. Then the U.S. proceeds to give the Gulf dictatorship more munitions, while fully knowing these will be given to the barbaric groups. What the actual fuck is going on, and why isn't anyone saying anything about this? DIA document outlines this strategy. Then, Secretary of State John Kerry admits this on tape. General Michael Flynn admits this in an interview. The U.S. has been arming these groups since the 80s via the Gulf countries to achieve geopolitics. Because money.
And then the rest of the world is shocked when instability follows and war refugees start showing up at everyone's doorstep. Diplomacy doesn't always work, but neither does pumping weapons into already tense and fragile areas.
Don't expect this to change. Defense spending always has bipartisan support. You rarely ever hear it debated or stalled in Congress.
53 consecutive years a defense bill has passed with bipartisan support. It's literally the only thing every member of Congress and Senate agrees to regardless of what else is going on.
I wouldn't say every, but yeah, the majority.
Duh, it's been the US's business model in war around the world for decades. Create conflict and then sell your weapons and equipment to both sides and let them fight it out. When the conflict dies down, just create more elsewhere and repeat. Dollar.
Money for a few companies that lobby for American taxpayers to foot the bill, with tons of efficiency loss. Don't let anyone think that the average American is profiting from this, especially with all those dead soldiers, meaning less workers and a weaker economy.
All those dead soldiers? What dead soldiers? The U.S. has long ago switched to war in ways that put them at the lowest possible risk, which is one of the reasons nobody in America really cares. War weariness is usually tied to losses. For example, the U.S. has lost less than 3,000 soldiers in Afghanistan, and a quarter of those was not even due to hostile action. The people dying by the 10,000s and having their economies wrecked are the civilians in the countries attacked by the U.S.
And the civilians in the U.S. who are left behind by a government that spends its money on war instead of looking after them, those people lose too.
Not wrong, but also not exactly correct. U.S. citizens share in the responsibility and blame for allowing this to occur. None of this is secret, it's all in the open, and people do bring it up regularly. But for the most part the average American citizen chooses to willfully ignore it. They are knowingly complicit because it's easier than admitting we are the baddies. There's a difference in losing and not benefiting.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.